After students have worked on adding and subtracting fractions, we move on to multiplying and dividing fractions. We're going to start with a multiplication problem. We have 3/4 times 1/3. If you notice, this is set up horizontally versus when you add and subtract, we set them up vertically. When you multiply fractions, you want to take the two numerators, multiply them by each other, and then you want to take the two denominators and multiply them by each other. So I put arrows just to remind us of that step. So my 3 times 1 gives me 3. 4 times 3 gives me 12, for an answer of 3/12. However, I can simplify this fraction, which just means to reduce it to the smallest numbers. It's an equivalent fraction, so it still represents the same space. We're just taking the numerator and the denominator, and making them into the smallest numbers they can be. So I can take 3 and 12, they have to be divided by the same number. I can divide both of these numbers by 3. 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. 12 divided by 3 gives me 4. So my final answer in simplest form would be 1/4. Moving on to dividing. Dividing fractions have a few more steps than when we multiply them. So for our equation, we have 2 divided by 1/5. When we divide fractions, the first thing I want to do, I want to turn this 2 into a fraction. So when we have a whole number, we can always put it over 1. It still represents 2. It's just now it has a denominator. After we do that, I want to make sure I change my division symbol to a multiplication symbol. And then I'm going to take my second number and I'm going to find the reciprocal, which just means I'm going to flip the numerator and the denominator. So my numerator right now is 1. I'm going to take that 1 and make it my denominator. My 5 is currently my denominator. I'm going to take that 5 and make it my numerator. After I do that, I'm going to multiply my two fractions. And again, that just means I'm going to take my two numerators and multiply them to give me 10. Then I'm going to take my two denominators, multiply them to give me 1. This is called our improper fraction. Our numerator is bigger than our denominator. We cannot leave improper fractions as our final answer. 10/1, our fraction bar means to divide, so 10 divided by 1 gives us a final answer of 10.